They left me alone on Christmas morning. No knock at the door. No laughter outside. No smell of perfume or sound of hurried footsteps rushing in from the cold. Instead, there was an envelope under the tree. It wasn't wrapped. It didn't shine. There was no bow, no card, no apology tucked inside. Just thick paper. Official paper. Stamped with the county seal. For a moment, I stood there in my housecoat, the kettle screaming behind me, wondering if my eyes were playing tricks on me. At 78, that happens sometimes. But not like this. Not with something placed so deliberately, so cruelly precise. I bent down and picked it up carefully, as if it might shatter in my hands. The house felt wrong, too quiet. The kind of silence that used to mean my husband was still sleeping. Henry always slept late on holidays. I half expected to hear him clear his throat from the bedroom or shuffle toward the kitchen. But Henry had been gone for 8 years. And this silence wasn't peaceful. They had promised to come early. "Christmas breakfast at your place, Mom," my son had said. I had believed him. I'd stayed up late rolling dough, dusting flour across the counter the way I used to when he was small. Cinnamon rolls, still warm, sat untouched nearby. Foolish old woman, I thought. Foolish for believing. My hands didn't shake when I opened the envelope. That surprised me. I'd shaken when the doctor told me Henry wouldn't be coming home. I'd shaken when I buried my parents. But now, my fingers were steady, almost calm, as if some part of me had already known what waited inside. Notice of eviction. The words felt unreal, like they belonged to someone else's life. Then I saw the name. Petitioner, Daniel Ellingham. My son. I read it again. And again. Until the letters stopped meaning anything at all. The kettle had gone silent. The rolls cooled on the counter. Cold crept up through the soles of my feet and into my legs. I'd kept the heat low overnight, trying to save money, but the December chill had settled deep into the house. I moved to the window. The yard was coated in frost. Every branch, every stone glittered under the pale morning light. The oak tree, Henry planted it the year Daniel was born, stood frozen and beautiful, like it had been dusted with sugar. Daniel used to decorate that tree with me. Wooden stars he made in school. Uneven. Painted too thick. He held my hand so tightly back then, afraid of falling off the ladder. "Mom," he used to say, "this is our tree." I suppose it still was. Only now, he wanted it without me. I folded the letter, not to keep it neat, but because I couldn't stand to look at that seal anymore. It felt like something had been pulled from my chest, something precious that never belonged to anyone else. No calls. No messages. No explanations. I checked my phone anyway. Twice. Then again. Nothing. I thought of the gifts under the tree. A book for my granddaughter. A scarf for my grandson. And I picked up the envelope again. It felt heavier than paper should, like it carried years of small humiliations, dismissive looks, sharp comments, quiet disrespect I had chosen to ignore. I always believed love would return if I didn't demand it. Standing there on Christmas morning, I finally understood something clearly. Love doesn't grow in silence. Respect doesn't come from endurance. I folded the notice once more, carefully this time, and whispered into the empty room. "All right then." A different kind of day had begun. I placed the notice on the kitchen table and smoothed its edges, the way I once smoothed Daniel's hair when he was a boy. Back then, he leaned into my hand like the world was safe as long as I was near. Now the only warmth in the room came from the oven, and even that had faded. I stood there staring at that single sheet of paper when a thought arrived, not loud, not angry, just steady and certain. If they wanted my home, they would have to take it from a woman who finally remembered her worth. I reached for my glasses. The words blurred for a moment before sharpening again into something real and unforgiving. They wanted the house. My house. The one Henry and I bought when we were young enough to believe life would play fair if we worked hard enough. We saved for years. Skipped vacations. Mended old furniture instead of buying new. I still remembered the day we signed the papers, Henry's hand covering mine, his laugh echoing in that tiny office. "A place no one can ever take from us," he said. He was wrong. People can take anything if you trust them blindly. I pulled a notebook from the drawer, the one I use now because memory wanders more than it used to. I copied the date from the notice carefully. Hearing scheduled in 21 days. 21 days to lose everything. Or 21 days to refuse to disappear quietly. The chair groaned as I sat. 78 years in the same kitchen will do that. I spread the notice beside the notebook and read every line. Slowly. Carefully. Then I saw it. Transfer of ownership signed by the homeowner, and my name was there. My signature. A cold recognition crawled up my spine. 2 summers ago, Daniel had come by unannounced, carrying a stack of papers. Insurance forms, he'd said. Something about refinancing. He talked fast. Covered pages with his hand. Told me it was routine. I remembered hesitating. But he was my son. So I signed. I hadn't imagined, not even for a moment, that he would slip something else into those pages. The room felt colder. I pulled my cardigan tighter, though it did nothing to stop the chill of betrayal. Outside, the wind shook the branches, sending frost drifting down like silver dust. The world looked peaceful. What a lie. I walked through the house slowly, room by room. The living room first. Henry's chair by the window. The clock still ticking, even though the frame had faded. The crooked picture of Daniel holding a cardboard rocket he swore could fly. I kept these things because they were pieces of my life. Pieces I wasn't ready to surrender. I touched the mantel, the wood worn smooth by decades of hands and dusting cloths. This is my home, I whispered, not to the walls but to myself. For a moment, I considered calling Daniel. Asking why. Asking if he understood what he'd done. But I could already hear his voice, smooth, reassuring, practiced. Mom, you're confused. Mom, you misunderstood. Let me explain. Just enough to make me doubt myself. No. Not this time. Instead, I went to the hall closet where Henry kept important things. His toolbox. Old tax folders. And behind a stack of winter blankets, the folder I prayed would still be there. The deed. The original one. I carried it to the kitchen table like something fragile. Laid it beside the court notice. Truth and lie, side by side. For years, I had allowed my son to treat me like paper, thin, easy to fold. Maybe he mistook age for weakness. Many people do. But age is just time. And time sharpens some people. I sat there breathing slowly, letting the anger settle into something steadier. Something useful. Resolve. It felt unfamiliar at first, then strangely right, like a coat I hadn't worn in decades, but that still fit. I'm not leaving, I said aloud. Hearing my own voice, steady, certain, straightened something inside me. They wanted a quiet old woman. They were about to meet someone else. The morning light shifted across the floor, and with it, my decision settled deep into my bones. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just final. I placed the deed in a plastic sleeve and set it beside the notice. If they wanted a fight, I would give them one. But first, I needed to secure the ground beneath my feet. The phone sat on the counter, silent and innocent. I picked it up and dialed the bank. I had been with that bank for nearly 4 decades. They still addressed me the way Henry liked, Mrs. Ellingham, as if time hadn't erased who I once was. After 3 rings, a woman answered. Good morning, Pine Valley Savings. This is Laura. Good morning, dear, I said. My name is Martha Ellingham. I need to review my accounts. Her voice softened instantly. Of course, Mrs. Ellingham. Let me pull up your file. I waited, staring at the frost tracing delicate lines across the windowpane. It looked almost beautiful, how cold could turn into something intricate. All right, she said. How can I help today? I took a breath. Not deep. Just enough. I want all external authorizations removed. Every shared access, every automatic transfer, every permission linked to anyone but me. Effective immediately. There was a pause. Not confusion, caution. You mean all authorized users? She asked carefully. Including secondary account managers? Secondary managers. Such polite words for a son who treated my finances like his backup plan. Yes, I said. Every single one. Her keyboard clicked. I can place temporary suspensions right now, but I'll need you to come in to finalize. That's fine. Another pause. Then gently, "That includes Daniel Ellingham. Are you certain?" I looked at the eviction notice lying on my kitchen table. "Yes," I said. "I'm certain." "All right," she replied softly. "The suspensions are active." Something in my chest loosened, not relief exactly, but the feeling of reclaiming air after holding my breath too long. "Thank you," I said. She hesitated. "Is everything all right, Mrs. Ellingham?" It was a simple question. Too heavy an answer. "Yes," I lied. "I just need to make some adjustments." When I hung up, the house felt quieter again, but not empty. More like the pause before something shifts. I pulled out my old address book, the one I'd kept since the 90s. Pages worn soft. Names crossed out over the years. One number remained, written in Henry's careful handwriting. Thomas Buckley. Attorney at law. Henry trusted him. That would have to be enough. Before I could dial, my phone chimed. A message from Daniel. "Mom, did you change something with the bank? The transfer didn't go through. Call me." So that was it. Another message followed almost immediately. "Mom, please call me ASAP." I set the phone down without responding. Let him wait. Let him feel, just once, what it was like to reach for someone and find nothing there. I moved through the kitchen slowly, wiping the counter, folding the towel, putting away the flour I'd left out. Small motions. Steadying motions. The phone rang. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. 5 times before it stopped. I knew he'd call back. They always do when they need something. The cinnamon rolls were completely cold now. I placed them in an old tin, the one with faded Christmas candles, and slid it into the fridge. Maybe I'd give them to the neighbor. Maybe I'd eat one myself. Maybe I'd throw them out. I hadn't decided. The phone rang again. I walked past it and stopped in front of the hallway mirror. The woman looking back at me wasn't frail. Older, yes. Softer around the edges. But her eyes, clearer than they'd been in years. "This is my house," I said to the reflection. "My life." Another call went unanswered. Outside, the frost was melting. And for the first time in a very long while, something inside me was thawing too. By afternoon, the sky had turned a heavy gray, the kind that pressed low against the rooftops and made the world feel smaller. I made myself a cup of tea, though I barely tasted it. My thoughts were already circling one thing I could no longer delay. The lawyer. I took Thomas Buckley's card from the drawer. Plain. Cream-colored. Nothing flashy. Henry had liked that about him, said men who didn't advertise themselves loudly usually did the most solid work. My fingers didn't shake when I dialed. "Buckley Law Office," a woman answered. "This is Karen." "Good afternoon," I said. "My name is Martha Ellingham. I need to speak with Mr. Buckley, if he's available." "One moment, please." I listened to the quiet hum of the office, printers, low voices, the clink of a coffee cup. Life continuing as usual, unaware that mine had cracked open that morning. "Martha," a deeper voice finally said. "It's been a long time." "Too long," I replied. "Thomas, I received a court notice today. An eviction. Filed by my son." There was silence, not careless silence, but the professional kind. The kind that meant he was already sorting facts from emotion. "Did you sign any document transferring ownership of your home?" he asked. "No," I said. "But 2 years ago, he brought me paperwork. Insurance forms," he said. I signed 1 page. "A bait and switch," Thomas said quietly. "Unfortunately common." Hearing it named made my chest tighten, not with fear, but with something like a bruise. "Bring everything," he continued. "The notice. The deed. Any paperwork you still have. Do you have the original deed?" "Yes. I found it this morning." "Good," he said. "That matters." "And Thomas," I added, "he had access to my bank accounts." "Not anymore." A pause. Then approval in his voice. "Very good. I can see you tomorrow at 10. Don't speak to him again until then. He's been calling all day." "I imagine he has," Thomas said. "Don't answer." When the call ended, the house felt steadier, like ground that had finally stopped shifting beneath my feet. The phone buzzed again. Mom, you can't just cut off payments. Call me. I turned the phone face down. Whatever panic he was feeling wasn't mine to fix. I moved through the house again, but this time with purpose. Not wandering, taking stock. The bedroom. The study Henry used before his hands stiffened. Every room felt like it was quietly reminding me, you belong here. A car slowed outside. My breath caught, but it didn't stop. The sound faded. I reheated my tea. A small act, but necessary. The kind of act a woman performs when she's reclaiming herself piece by piece. That evening, the phone rang again. I answered this time. Mom, Daniel said, voice tight. Why haven't you been answering? I didn't feel like talking. There's a problem with the accounts, he rushed on. Payments bounced. I need to know what's going on. So do I said calmly. For example, why your name is on an eviction notice addressed to me. Silence. Well, he began too quickly, there must be a misunderstanding. Let me come over. No, I said. Explain it now. He hesitated. I could picture him rubbing his forehead, the way he always did when lies lined up faster than truth. It's just paperwork, he said. Nothing was meant to happen yet. Paperwork that removes me from my home, I replied. Mom, why are you being difficult? He snapped. You always trusted me. That was my mistake. His tone softened artificially. You're upset. Confused. Sandra thinks. I am not confused, I said. And I've spoken to a lawyer. That stopped him. I've removed your access to my finances, I continued. And I'm contesting the eviction. A long pause. You had no right, he said coldly. Oh, but I did. He tried pleading next. Please don't do this. There are bills. The kids. He tried pleading next. Please don't do this. There are bills. The kids. You'll manage, I said. You're adults. And then before he could find another angle, I ended the call. The silence that followed didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. The night passed without rest. Sleep came in fragments, thin and restless, like someone pacing just beyond my bedroom door. By morning, the light was pale and sharp, cutting across the floorboards in long, unforgiving lines. I dressed slowly, choosing the navy coat Henry bought me years ago. The sleeves were looser now, but the weight of it felt right, steady, familiar. I placed the documents into my bag with care. The deed. The court notice. My notebook. Proof of a life I refused to surrender. The cab ride to Thomas Buckley's office felt longer than it was. My knees protested when I stepped out, but I didn't pause. Some things must be done without hesitation. Inside, warmth wrapped around me immediately. Paper, ink, quiet authority. Thomas stood when I entered, his eyes sharp but kind. You did the right thing coming, he said. So did you, I replied. We spread the documents across the table. He studied them carefully, his finger stopping at the forged signature. This won't hold, he said. They assumed you wouldn't challenge it. They assumed wrong. A faint smile flickered across his face. We'll file a formal response today. We'll contest the eviction, challenge the signature, and secure your assets going forward. How? I asked. With a trust, he said. Your home, savings, everything, protected. No access without strict conditions. I nodded. And beneficiaries? He hesitated. Anyone you trust? Only one face came to mind. My granddaughter, I said. Lily. Thomas smiled. That simplifies things. It took over an hour. Every page explained. Every signature deliberate. Each one felt like placing a brick back into the foundation of my life. When we finished, he leaned back. You've handled this remarkably well. I've been quiet long enough, I said. Silence gets mistaken for permission. Outside, the cold no longer felt sharp. The bag at my side felt different too, not heavy with fear, but weighted with protection. By the time I reached home, the sun was already low. I didn't turn on the overhead lights. Just the small lamp by the window. Warm. Gentle. The phone buzzed again. Missed calls. Messages. I didn't check them. That evening, the knock came. 3 sharp raps. Daniel. I didn't hurry. I opened the door at my own pace. He stood there alone, eyes restless, jaw tight. Mom, we need to talk. I assumed so, I said, stepping aside. He walked in, scanning the house like inventory. I took my seat in Henry's chair. Sit if you'd like, I said. He didn't. Why did you cut off the accounts? He demanded. You blindsided us. You filed to evict me, I replied calmly. That wasn't subtle. I was protecting you, he snapped. This house is too much for you. I'm safer now than I've been in years. I told him about the lawyer, the trust, the eviction being challenged. His face drained of color. You're cutting us out, he whispered. I'm protecting myself. You owe me, he said bitterly. I owe you nothing, I answered. For the first time, he looked afraid, not angry, not manipulative. Afraid. He left without another word. I didn't follow. The house creaked softly as the door closed behind him, settling into a new shape. Later that afternoon, Lily came. Her knock was gentle. Her concern immediate. When I told her everything, she didn't interrupt. She didn't defend him. She just listened. I choose you, Grandma, she said, holding my hand. Always. The house felt full again, not crowded, just claimed. Sleep came easier that night, not because the storm had passed, but because I had stopped running from it. Morning arrived cold and clear, the kind of light that doesn't comfort but reveals. I wrapped my hands around a mug of tea and stood at the kitchen window, watching the frost retreat as the sun rose higher. The house felt different. Not lighter. Stronger. The phone rang mid-morning. An unfamiliar number. I answered. Mrs. Ellingham, a man said, professional and calm. This is Jason Hill from the county clerk's office. I'm calling regarding your eviction case. My fingers tightened around the mug, but my voice stayed steady. Yes. There's been a stay placed on the proceedings, effective immediately. After reviewing the documents your attorney submitted, the court agreed to pause all actions pending a formal hearing. I closed my eyes slowly. So I don't have to leave, I said. No, ma'am. And given the evidence, it's unlikely you will. When the call ended, I remained still for a long moment. Not stunned, grounded. Something had shifted permanently. I was no longer reacting. I was standing. A message followed soon after. Thomas. The stay is granted. We'll move to dismiss entirely. Do not engage with your son or his wife. I turned the phone face down. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and quiet, covering the yard like a fresh page. I rested my palm against the glass. For the first time since Christmas morning, I felt something rise inside me, not anger, not fear. Strength. That afternoon, Daniel tried again. Calls. Messages. Even a knock I didn't answer. I let him plead into the silence. Silence, I had learned, is only cruel when it's undeserved. Later, my grandson came by. Uncertain. Torn. He spoke carefully, as if walking through broken glass. I think Dad's scared, he said. He should be, I replied gently. Fear is often the first step toward truth. When he left, I sat alone in the living room, blanket over my knees, the house breathing quietly around me. The walls no longer felt like something slipping away. They felt like witnesses. Days passed. Then a call from Thomas. The petition has been dismissed, he said. Your son has no legal standing. The forged signature is under investigation. Your assets are fully protected. Protected. Such a small word for something that felt like a door finally locked from the inside. That evening, Lily came by. She didn't knock, just tapped on the glass like she used to when she was little. She smiled when I opened the door, relief written plainly across her face. It's over, she said. Yes, I replied. It is. We sat together, talking about small things. Classes. Neighbors. Nothing sharp. Nothing heavy. Sometimes peace announces itself quietly. After she left, I sat in Henry's chair and watched the lights on the tree blink softly. I thought of the woman I had been, apologetic, patient, shrinking. And the woman I was now. I had defended my home. I had reclaimed my voice. I had chosen myself. Christmas came again the following year. Quiet. Simple. No fear waiting under the tree. Just one small gift I had chosen for myself. Outside, snow fell gently. Inside, I sat warm and unafraid. And if someone else out there needs to hear it, let these words reach them softly. It is never too late to stand up quietly. Never too late to choose yourself. Never too late to begin again.